In all honesties, today's video might hurt a little bit. It might get a little bit to a sensitive side, something that is haunting us, but we don't want to address. And what I'm talking about and what I'm going to refer to is Darren Hardy's Darren Daily episode from Monday, titled "Alert: Don't Pay the Fool's Tax." And what he talks about and what he's referring to is he's referring to the practice of promoting talented people to management and leadership when they have no training and no skills and no support. And so he quoted some statistics, and he quoted them from the Chartered Management Institute, the CMI, that had a recent study, and in this study they came to the conclusion that 82% of managers are accidental, meaning they were just promoted because, not because of management skills or leadership, and they had no training in leadership, they get no coaching, and they have no real skill set. And so they're accidental leaders. And of course, in mortgage and real estate, especially mortgage, both mortgage and real estate, that's an epidemic, right? We promote people. Sometimes they give them, they're top producers and we want to satisfy their ego, or they're top producers and we want to create a secondary income stream for them. We want to do it as retention. They're super talented as loan officers, and so we have nobody else to choose, and so we promote them. We make them a branch manager, an area manager, a regional manager, whatever it may be, and they have no leadership experience. They have no skill set for it. Now, sometimes when you're a top producer and you're leading a big team and you've created those skills, you can certainly be a great leader of a branch or a region or a company. I mean, if you think of Champanosian, he's a phenomenal leader, but he was a phenomenal leader leading his team. He learned his skill as a leader leading his team. And he got a ton of coaching and a ton of support. But the average leader isn't Sean. The average leader, is probably some person that maybe they got up to $50 million in production, depending on the company. It might have been 20 million, 50 million, 100 million. And their company said, hey, gee, can you run this branch for us? And then sometimes they then put two or three poorly performing branches under that person, and the person never really stops being an originator. They don't make any time to lead. They don't make any commitment to the people they lead. They don't develop their leadership skills, and it's a huge problem. And in Darren's podcast, which I will put a link to his podcast below, he comes up with this. He comes up with this hypothesis of the cost of promoting these accidental leaders, and he goes. And first, the CMI said that roughly 1 in 3 employees quit due to poor management or poor leadership. And then the loss of just one employee, and we can definitely project this to us, is about $450,000 in revenue a year to a company. And so that, and not only that, but poor leadership, drains morale. It lowers productivity. It lowers customer satisfaction, and you start to have some brand reputational issues. But if a company's doing about $200 million in revenue, poor leadership can cost, as this is Darren's estimate, as much as $6.7 million annually. And now we don't know if those numbers, reflect the mortgage business, but I can tell you the opportunity cost of not supporting and training your leaders is massive. And in an industry where we have virtually no margin for the last 3 years, it can mean everything between success and failure. And the thing is, if you're a company, and there's no, okay, well, if you're a company and you promote somebody, it's incumbent upon you to give them the tools to succeed. One, set the standard of what you expect your leadership should do, how they should support your employees. What's the standard? And then equip them with the tools and then hold them accountable. Because every person in an organization deserves to be poured into to have a good leader. Every person, that's the next thing. If you're a company and you're trying to cut expenses, I know right now we're trying to cut a ton of expenses, and so you're cutting out middle management. Yeah, if the middle management does nothing, if it has no value, cut them, right? If all they're doing is having an override, cut them, right? But the whole point is, great leaders don't necessarily have to take a big chunk of the P&L. A great leader is his own skill set. Hire great leaders that inspire people and train them and support them, and they shouldn't cost an arm and a leg, and they should be far worth more than you pay them. That's the whole point. But why we're getting rid of middle managers is because they're worthless. quite frankly. And instead of getting rid of that support, right when people need support the most, when they're frozen and paralyzed, they don't know where to go, they don't know how to, they don't know how to embrace new technologies, they don't know how to embrace new markets, new customers' behavior. Instead of getting the leadership that will lead them to the future, how about getting better leaders? Ones that are worth it. Anyway, my 2 cents on that. And then if you're a leader, by the way, you have to know, your role is to help support people, to lead them, to elevate them. If you're not doing that, that must just feel horrible. And so you got to make a choice. Make a choice to become a good leader, right? Ask for the training, the mentorship, whether you get it internally or externally. Don't blame your company. If your company isn't capable of supporting you that way, go out and master your craft. Go out and get external coaching. Learn your craft. Really take pride in how you lead people. Let that be your greatest payoff, more than your personal production. Or not. You know what? Consider stepping down. You step aside for another leader, somebody who might pour into these people, that might lead them to the future, that might elevate them. And be honest with yourself. When I talk to people that want to be promoted, which I talk to all the time, I ask them why. And what I want to hear is them say, I've always wanted to lead people. I've always wanted to pour into people. I always wanted to help people achieve their dreams. If I hear that, I'm gun-ho supporting them. Yes, you should step up then. Raise your hand, step up. But if it's, I need to make more money, or I want the title, or it'll make me look better, or something like that, I'm like, that is just nonsense. Stick to what you're doing because you're being super successful at it. Anyway, I know this might strike close to home for a lot of us, and that's scary. But give it a thought. I'll put a link to Darren's podcast below. You can check out his podcast here. You can see it looks like this. And then I did do a post on this on LinkedIn. Check me out on LinkedIn. I appreciate you giving me a little bit of your time. Hopefully you find this helpful. I look forward to talking again tomorrow. Thanks. Have a great day.